Meiji Restoration, also known as the Meiji Revolution or Renewal, was a time where the practical imperial rule was resorted to the Empire of Japan in 1868 under the Emperor Meiji. Before this event happened, Japan was a feudal society that had a hierarchy of lords, samurai and peasants. This all happened in 1603 to 1868, but in 1867 the 15th shogun relinquished his power. Then 1868 the Meiji Restoration came into motion. It was led by a young samurai who saw the need for change. The emperor was later then reinstalled as sovereign and took the name Meiji.
The consequences of the modernization of Japan were both positive and negative. Almost every part of Japan had been modernized to some extent. One of the main aspects of Japan's modernization was the military, which was carried out by the newly founded national government. It was only responsible to the emperor. The modernization to the rest of the region was unfair, as places like Korea and the native inhabitants were treated cruelly, and Russia's power in the Far East was greatly weakened.
This photograph of the Meiji Emperor of Japan from 1852 to 1912 shows us the one who led the change for the Japanese culture, religion and modernization for Japan. The restoration was an event that restored practical imperial rule to the Empire of Japan in 1868. This photograph is highly reliable, as it is not only created during the time period but was also taken by Ultrajakuchi, who was a well-known portrait photographer from Nagasaki and was greatly respected for his work. Also the only photographer to be granted to photograph the Meiji Emperor. This increases the reliability of this source. This source is extremely significant to the study of the Meiji Restoration, as it provides evidence of the one who restored Japan's imperial rule. Tokugawa Shogun, also known as the Great General, lost his power and the emperor position was restored back into position. The emperor took the name of Meiji as his resigned name. This event was now called the Meiji Restoration.
This photograph describes a brief understanding of the Charter of Oath, also known as the Imperial Oath of 5 Articles. It was the outline of the main actions that were important in the main modernization of Japan. It was made by the new government era, the Meiji Emperor, on the 6th of April 1868. The oath was set to start a new path in the Japanese history and its social structure. The Charter of Oath was the main factor of fast modernization of Japan. The modernization took half a century. The Charter of Oath was a reliable in the modernization, and thus the modernization was fast. After the modernization became a country with thriving economy and strong military. Japan was also able to win equality with the West and attain a world power status. The Charter of Oath took part with the military and modernization of the Meiji Constitution.
This source provides an understanding of the Constitution on the Meiji Restoration from 1889 to 1947. This source was the first page of the Constitution. The Constitution was a major landmark in the making of the modern Japanese state and in Japan's drive to become one of the world's advanced civilized powers. This source is relatable as it gives everyone a meaning on what it means. This source is relatable as it gives everyone a meaning on what it means or stands for. The spirit of the Constitution on this source was a mixture of German and traditional Japanese authoritarianism, as some did not expect the fact of the start of the Japanese democracy, also known as the Meiji Restoration. Some deny it as a sickly child. This source represents the start of the Meiji Restoration and has evidence to prove it. There are 7 chapters of the Meiji Restoration. Began in 1870s with a visit by the Japanese delegation, United States, Britain and Germany. This is linked by the Japanese democracy of the Meiji Restoration, as the emperor began an early constitution.
In conclusion, the Meiji Restoration made a huge impact over the nation of Japan in 1868 till this very day. In the short run, it wasn't the greatest due to the mistreatment of its people. But in the long run, from 1912 to today, Japan is one of the top countries that is a literate and technical advanced nation. The Meiji Restoration has marked a turning point in Japanese history, which we agree, although there was a negative impact at the start of the restoration, we believe that the restoration has now made a positive impact on Japan and its society.